where the reporter's standing, there is no firefight. The fire is just left to run rampant.
These LAPD officers that it's going to spread mainly because there is no firefight. There is zero firefight on the ground here from where we are. We know that is not the case in different parts of this, but on the eastern flank of this fire, no fire protection.
The Los Angeles County Sheriff, Robert Luna, said on Wednesday, there is just not enough firefighters to tackle the flames.
Just to say you don't have enough, if you don't have enough, tell the governor to send you the National Guard.
Hello, everyone. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Sheriff Mack. We are going to discuss the Los Angeles fires. We're going to discuss the Trump inauguration, and we are going to discuss the constitutional sheriff's movement that Sheriff Mack heads up. So with the Los Angeles fire, we've just found out that 2 people have now died. Los Angeles Times reporting more than 1,000 homes, businesses, and other buildings destroyed in the LA County fire as it sweeps through a very metro area. Daily Mail reporting that the Los Angeles County Sheriff, Robert Luna, said on Wednesday that 2 people have been arrested for looting during the evacuations. And he also is admitting there is just not enough firefighters to tackle the flames. So you head up a sheriff's organization. What is law enforcement and the sheriff's doing wrong in Los Angeles? How has this gotten so bad?
Well, if he needs some help, I know lots of fire departments and firefighters from all across the country will help him. That's happened before. We had fires out here in Arizona while I was sheriff, and we had people coming in from all over the country. That's happened before, and it's standard operating procedure. So Sheriff Luna needs to ask the other sheriffs for help all across the state of California. Central and Northern California have lots of people available there. Let's get them going. Just to say you don't have enough, if you don't have enough, tell the governor to send you the National Guard. Some sheriffs in California have posses. Ask for the posses to come and help. Whatever you have to do, all the resources there are available. I'll bet you a dime to a donut. If he called Arizona, the sheriffs here would get local fire departments and other volunteers. Look, every sheriff in California and Arizona in the West have huge search and rescue squads. They're very well trained, and they could help in all of this as well. So I really don't buy the thing that there's not enough resources. Maybe in his county, he's probably right. But go outside your county and ask the other sheriffs. I know the sheriffs stick together big time, and they will help each other. All you got to do is send up the smoke signals.
Yeah, some people are wondering, is this purposely being let out of control? Because like you said, ask for more help if you don't have enough firefighters. ABC 7 was just covering this in the past few hours and talking about where the reporter's standing. There is no firefight. The fire is just left to run rampant. Here it is.
And we're watching these flames as they continue to make their march here. So again, homes have been lost on the north side of Sunset, just beyond this ridge here. And there's a fear from these LAPD officers that it's going to spread mainly because there is no firefight. There is zero firefight on the ground here from where we are. We know that is not the case in different parts of this, but on the eastern flank of this fire, no fire protection, no firefight. This fire is moving unabated, unchecked into these crowded neighborhoods. And the fear is that these homes could be lost within hours.
And now 2 people are dead. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah, a time or two. But this... Sometimes it's mistakes by, like I was just going to get ready to tell him, how does he know the fire is not going to go around him and then have him surrounded? Because I've seen that before.
It can jump.
Yeah. It's he's in an unsafe spot right there. So look, there are so many resources available, and Sheriff Luna needs to get going. The governor should get going, and the Los Angeles Police Department, and neighboring counties, Riverside County right there, Anaheim area, which is Orange County. I can't believe that they're not already mobilizing the resources available in neighboring counties.
I'm shocked too. And that reporter from ABC 7 also said that he talked to a local police officer who said if he had it his way, he would evacuate people in a 4-mile radius there. But for some reason, his bosses are not doing an evacuation.
With a sergeant who's on duty here, he said, this is unofficial, but if I had my way, I would have everyone from here to the 405 freeway leave. That's 4 miles we're talking about.
If you were sheriff, what would you do?
I would probably do 25 mile.
Wow.
Yeah, no, 4 miles. I would go much further than that. This thing's really blazing. The winds are picking up, and so now, if you think 4, then you should go 20 or 25.
Oh my gosh.
Have them leave. What does it hurt to leave for a while? Go to Disneyland for a day.
Right.
Go to San Diego for a day. Beautiful area. Call Sheriff Martinez in San Diego and ask what she could do to help right now. So
what a concept. I hope they're working on that. I'm honestly, I've covered fires in my years as a reporter, and I'm honestly a little shocked by what I'm seeing there. Okay, I want to switch to the Trump inauguration. You have a message for Trump on what you would do as sheriff.
Well, first of all, I want to ask, make sure that President Trump is getting rid of unconstitutional, unlawful, and criminal spending by the crooks in Washington, D.C., by our corrupt Congress and the corruption that has been there for the last 4 years. It's astonishing. First, without any question, on the chopping block should be Planned Parenthood. They are a private club. They're a private organization, and they're an NGO that provides no government service whatsoever. And we spend $500 million a year to them with forced taxpayer dollars. That's absolutely absurd. It's criminal and should never have happened. And if we're going to clean up Washington, D.C., that's got to be number one. Number two, IRS, the collection agency for the Federal Reserve. The Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution requires Congress to coin our money and to establish the value thereof. They have abdicated that responsibility to the private bankers who make up the Federal Reserve. It's not federal, and they provide no government service because that's Congress's job, and they can't pass that on to somebody else. Okay, now let's get back to what I really fear about Trump. First of all, we saw 2 different assassination attempts on Trump within the last 6-7 months. One, he barely missed being killed and actually got shot in his ear. And it was obvious that the Secret Service really blew it badly. And so now who's in charge? Same people, except probably more FBI. And I don't trust any of them. And I don't trust this situation. And if I was in charge of security there, I would say, Mr. President, it would really be nice to have an inauguration and have millions of people show up, but that would be too dangerous for you and your family and all your cabinet. So let's not wave a red flag and say, yeah, anybody who wants to sacrifice themselves to go after the president, good day to show up on January 20th to Washington, D.C. There is not enough security officers or police or whoever to monitor that many people. This is a security nightmare, Mr. President. Please forego the inauguration pomp and circumstance. We don't need pomp and circumstance. We need you. And we need you and your family secure. So forego that. And I'm not the only one here. General Flynn has said the same thing. I didn't know he was saying it. I was saying it about the same time he was. Great minds think alike, but this is absolutely serious. You should not have this inauguration pomp and circumstance parade walking in public. No. While you're up there and you have your arm to swear your oath and your arm raised, you're going to be wide open. Please do it in the White House, televise it to the world, and the next right after that, let's get to work and let's fix America. And so this is unnecessary. It's not a constitutional requirement to have a big hoopla and pomp and circumstance. And please, let's just take care of you. We're concerned about you. We pray for you. We're here for you. But this is just too dangerous, Mr. President. And you should have a private ceremony in the White House.
That's true. If you did it indoors, it'd be easier to monitor security that way.
Of
Or
course.
he could do it the way Biden did it. Just no citizens allowed, the lawn was empty. What about that?
That would be fine with me. But that would be better. But still, people 10 miles away still could pose a danger. And there's just no way to cover that all. So I wouldn't do any of it. I don't think anybody wanted to go to Biden's. That's why he was doing that. But I think
so
there's going to be millions of people there cheering for President Trump and his family. And it's just unnecessary. I wish I've been to some of his rallies, and I actually worked security for one of his rallies back when he was running the first time. And I felt there was way too much wrong with it all. It's advertised, it's out in the public, or it's in a building where you really don't have metal detectors. And even if there are metal detectors, still a lot can go wrong. And there's no way you can have metal detectors all throughout Washington, D.C., in every sidewalk, every in and out highway, byway, sidewalk, jogging paths. It's just not necessary. And even if we did say, okay, no public, how far back are they going to be? And who's really watching for the sophistication of weaponry today that could reach him very easily? Have we even got security for drones in this country? I mean, we've had a lot of scares from drones all over our country. Do we have any security for our grid, for our power plants that could be easily attacked by bombs dropped from drones? Really, the intel that we have is that they're going to plant violence here and there, and then while we're distracted with that, they're going to hit our power plants and infrastructure, including our water supply. So I really think that we need to really be looking at that instead of having an inauguration that just is not necessary.
Wow, I think that makes a lot of sense given the assassination attempts. Okay,
Yeah.
Tell me about your organization. You founded the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, which was something that I think was so necessary in the pandemic when we saw countless people, law enforcement as well as governors, turning their back on the
Yes.
law.
Yeah, and the law, the supreme law of the land is what you're referring to, the Constitution of the United States. And Sheriff Chad Chronister in Tampa actually arrested a pastor for having church during COVID. And when I was sheriff, way back, probably before you were born, in 1994, I started a lawsuit against the Clinton administration regarding the overreach of the Brady bill. And this was the first time in history where sheriffs sued the federal government, took it all the way to the Supreme Court, and won. If anyone is interested in the case, this is it. It's on our website. This little booklet fits in your shirt pocket. But I studied the case, and why shouldn't I? It was my case. You can Google Mac v. US and Google Mac v. US. Another sheriff joined me in the lawsuit that went to the Supreme Court with me, Sheriff Prince from Montana, and I ended up at the Supreme Court together. And I was the one that started the whole thing. Sheriff Prince was second to file. And this was the most miraculous, most powerful case ever regarding state sovereignty and states' rights and local autonomy. And just what you brought up, let me tell you what Justice Scalia said here. In the He clarifies the Commerce Clause. He clarifies the Supremacy Clause. He talks about how the EPA was ruled to be unconstitutional in the early 1970s. But get this, quote, but the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. Now, doesn't that describe the mandates against, getting vaxxed and wearing a mask and shutting your business down, shutting our children down, shutting the schools down? The Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. And then he goes on and he says this, so that we may resist the temptation. In other words, resist the evil. Resist the temptation to concentrate power in one location as an expedient solution to the crisis of the day. The crisis of the day that they create and then come to us and say, we'll fix it for you and we'll give you the solution on a silver platter as long as you do what you're told. And we can do, the message was loud and clear during COVID. The government can do anything to you that we want. We can shut you down. We can shut your Constitution down. We can destroy liberty as long as it's for your own good. And this was way before COVID. But the tendency of corruption within government and the tendency of overreach in government has always been there since the foundation of our Constitution and our country. The founding fathers knew this all too well. And that's why there is no exemption for liberty or for our Constitution. And these politicians that tried to convince us that they're here to take care of us. Didn't Ronald Reagan say something about that? The scariest words in the English language are, we're here from the government and we're here to take care of you.
That's right. Are you saying,
never happen.
I mean, everyone says that these mandates that governors made were, they have a legal right to make edicts when there's an emergency.
And I have a legal right to keep my liberty.
Are you saying your Supreme Court case proves otherwise, that they do not have
a right? Yes, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. And there's no way the founding fathers would have gone along with this. Look, if you can persuade and you can educate and you can try to convince everyone, but you cannot force Americans to go along with your mandates. None of them were even laws. And we at the CSPOA would still be against any of them that had been legislated. None of the mandates were ever legislated. It was just put on a piece of paper. And then government officials, especially Biden, and many government non-officials like Fauci said, oh yeah, go get vaccinated. Oh, how many times did both of them tell you, do you want to not get the disease? Then you better get vaxxed, and then you better get the boosters, and then better get the next booster. And it was a pack of lies. And statistics show that it was now. And people like me and my most of my family, some of my kids did get the vaccine, but that's everybody's personal choice. It's not government's choice. And especially when they're starting to arrest people or fire people. And you know what? Most of the people that got fired are getting their jobs back with back pay, and they're filing lawsuits and they're winning. And it's so wonderful. This was all wrong.
So what about these businesses like in Texas? I mean, even Governor Abbott in Texas, he gets celebrated a lot by the right, but he was shutting down businesses in the pandemic too.
He's not celebrated by this right.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was disappointed in him because he was shutting down businesses. Restaurants couldn't open, or they could open at 15%. Nail salon, people were doing black market nail salons, black market haircuts. It was outrageous. Thanks to these tyrannical governors. Now, a nail salon that goes out of business, or a restaurant that goes out of business because of that, should they take this case to the Supreme Court with your president?
File it in local court. You're mostly going to win, but you never know what you're going to get in California. But Texas should. There's good judges there. There's good sheriffs there. Nobody had the authority to do any of this shutdown crap. And okay, let me say, Sheriff Mark Lamb out here in Arizona in Pinal County, he came out against his own Republican governor here in Arizona. And he said, we're not going to shut anybody down in our county. We're not going to arrest people for not wearing a mask. Sheriff Jones in Butler County, Ohio said, we're not the mask police. That is not what we signed up for. We'll encourage people to do that, but we're not making arrests for such a crazy thing. Well, let me compare Sheriff Chronister, who arrested a pastor for having church. And on the other hand, Sheriff Glenn Hamilton in New Mexico defended a pastor in his county to stay open. And as a matter of fact, Sheriff Hamilton deputized everybody inside the church, all the parishioners, all the congregation. He deputized them. And when the state came to shut him down, he said, this church will remain open. They're under my authority, and I've deputized every single one of them. And Pastor Caleb Cooper will run his church, not the government. Okay. And the pastor even said, Jesus Christ runs our church, not the government. We will stay open. And they never closed. Let me ask the American people, which sheriff do you want? The one that arrests pastors for having church in the United States of America, or the sheriff that defended his pastor and kept him open with courage and creativity? Which sheriff do you want in your county?
The one who gives me freedom. But so for any law,
and that's what we do. That's the message of the CSPOA. The Constitutional Sheriff Movement is exactly that. We oppose government tyranny. We oppose government oppression, and we support 100% the civil rights of the people.
So for any law enforcement watching, if this happens again, where we have our governor or our president giving mandates for the sheriffs to do certain things, what should they do?
Well, about 550 sheriffs did it nationwide during the COVID-19. I think we've all learned a lesson. It'll be much more than that this time. And we go to our sheriffs and say, why are you forcing me to do something that is clearly unconstitutional, that you swore a solemn oath in God's name that you would uphold, defend, protect, and preserve the United States Constitution. I'm asking you today, sir, this is the test for you and all sheriffs. Will you protect my rights? My right, I have a right to choose what nations I get, not the government. And so if we take that approach, I think many more sheriffs will stand against their governors. 25 sheriffs, at least 25 in California, did it during COVID. They stood against Newsom. And New York, the sheriffs there were several there also. And Cuomo, whoever the governor was at the time, threatened to fire him. And then he found out he couldn't do that because they were elected by for and of the people. And so this has gotten really way out of hand. And it shows that those of us who stood against COVID, even when it first came out in the mandates, we were right. And whether we were right or wrong, it does not change the fact that I choose. That's what individual liberty is. I choose for me and my family, and we work it out together. We don't need the government forcing this on us.
Okay, before we wrap up, you've received a lot of smear campaigns. If we Google you and your organization,
oh yeah,
the mainstream media and some of these organizations basically treat you like a practical terrorist. What's your reaction to that?
Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center put me on their top 40 domestic terrorist list. So yes, they've called me a terrorist. I was in law enforcement 20 years, and I never committed an act of violence against another human being, ever. We don't advocate any violence. We never have. We've never participated in any violence. We are not paramilitary. We are para-civil rights. We talk about Martin Luther King and what he stood for in my presentation and in our training seminars. We ask every cop in this country and sheriff, would you have arrested Rosa Parks if you were called back into time to handle this unruly citizen who refused to get the back of the bus? Our teachings at CSPOA are we would stand by her, we would sit next to her and make sure no one bothers her, and then escort her home safely and give her family extra patrol to protect them from anybody that wanted to come and retaliate against them, and teach this subversive person where her proper place is. We would defend anyone, and I don't care if they're black or white or Hispanic or what nationality they are. Liberty is for all people of all races, all nationalities, creeds, or colors. And we teach that, we live that. And these organizations that go after me, they don't know me. And all I ask for every sheriff, if you want to know who we really are, come to our training seminar and you will know that this is all about American liberty, American principles upon which we were founded and which you swore an oath, a solemn oath to uphold and defend. I don't care about the Daily Beast. I don't care about Washington Post and all the lies they've told about me, the ADL. They've badmouthed me all over the country for some reason, because I believe in the Constitution. I'm anti-Semitic, or I preach white supremacy. First of all, I'm not white. Anybody can tell I'm dark complected, and I don't care. I don't care what color I am, and I don't care what color you are. But don't be spreading rumors and when you've never even talked to me. Those are lies. They're 100% lies. And we even told the press, if you want to find out who we are, come to our training. We'll bring it to you. And I've made that offer to Southern Poverty Law Center, and they won't do it. None of them will debate us publicly either. None of them. ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center, IREHR, all of them. They know they're lying, and we're going to go on with our work. And we encourage all sheriffs to be part of our organization, but most importantly, to uphold and defend the Constitution and protect your citizens from all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
Well, I love what you're doing. I think it's great to have sheriffs get back to the Constitution and local autonomy.
Amen.
So I celebrate that, and I'm shocked at some of the media coverage. People can learn more about your organization at cspoa.org. And
everybody can join. Everybody can join. Everybody can be part of our posse. We have a posse, so we train you to be a posse member with your sheriff. Donate, become a part of this. This is about the only peaceful and effective solution that we've had the last 4 or 5 years, but we formed in 2011, and I was even doing it before then. After I left the sheriff's office, I preached our Supreme Court decision. Folks, get this. They're 3 for $5. They're very inexpensive, and you should pass these around to all your local officials and all your activist groups. It will blow your mind.
Wow. So great talking to you, Sheriff Mack. All the best.